it's on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Good morning. Happy Friday. Welcome to the ICAT Playdate Spring Break Edition, Public School Spring Break Edition. Glad you all are here. My name is Phyllis Newbill. I'm Associate Director of the Center for Educational Networks and Impacts, which is one of several centers within ICAT. A couple of housekeeping things before we get started. As always, we are live streaming this event, and this event will exist on YouTube following our time together this morning, so behave accordingly. There is a clipboard with a potential for sign-in. I hope everyone will sign in on that. We'll pass it around. That is how we justify donuts and coffee, so that's very important that you sign in on that. There are donuts and coffee. I hope you'll enjoy them. We do have some time for questions at the end today, so if you have questions and you're in the room, just wave and I'll come to you with the microphone so that the folks online can hear us. And if you're online and have questions, please use that questions link. We'd love to hear from you as well. If Professional Development Network credit or PDN credit is helpful to you as a faculty member here at Tech, just make sure you check in with me so that I give you that credit. If you're online, send me a note again through the questions link and make sure you include your name. We'll get you your credit. Some announcements this morning. Next week's Playdate is about immersive audio and visual simulations in healthcare. So there's more multi-channel things happening in different disciplines again. Also coming up is the New Music Technology Festival. Yes. I just wrote New Music Technology. New Music Technology Festival is coming up the week of April 9th through the 13th. There are things happening in the Cube and in Perform all that week, and I hope you'll check those out. Check out the ICAT ICAT website for all the information about that. Also, mark your calendars to be at ICAT Day on April 29th. So that's from 10 to 2. There will be exhibits from many of the Playdate presenters that you've seen throughout the semester and year, as well as some other class projects and other ICAT-related things happening there. So be there. It's going to be amazing. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Joe Culligan and the team, and the beat goes on. Go ahead.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here. My name is Joe. I'm an instructor in the Human Development and Family Science Department and a music therapist. This is the rest of our team. They'll introduce themselves, but we have Tanu, Violet, Trish, and Tanner. And the project that we're going to be talking about mainly is The Beat Goes On, which is a community choir project, which I don't want to say it's the grand finale for ICAT Day, but at the end of ICAT Day, we are putting on a concert, and it's a free community concert, and we want you all to come. So it's going to be in this building, in the performance space right over there. So mark your calendar and come to our concert. So talking a little bit about, this is actually our second time presenting here at a Playdate. We presented 2 years ago, I believe.
I can't remember.
Okay, 2 years ago, I think we presented for when we were wrapping data collection for a project where we were doing group music therapy, and we were capturing all kinds of measures, including, next slide, please. We were capturing all kinds of information regarding neural synchrony measures, behavioral synchrony measures. We were also looking at affective impact, and then that was what that project was about, and that was what we presented on last time. But we're really looking broadly as a lab at music therapy and the impact that it has on people, and how music impacts people specifically. Trish is a music therapist like I am, and we know that music is good for people, and we know that music can really help people who are experiencing cognitive change due to dementia specifically, and it can help enhance the caregiver relationship that they have. So another project that we are doing is we are funded through Carillion to be doing a research acceleration program where we're training caregivers in musical approaches to caregiving and hospice. So we're working on that as well. And we are also looking again at the community engagement project, which is The Beat Goes On, as well as continuing on data analysis and the other project that we did with the group music therapy. But the bottom line is all of these research approaches that we're doing, they're all very intentional with a design to be able to invite people with dementia to come and participate in research and invite their caregivers in a way that helps them feel comfortable, safe, and so that we're able to learn more about this. So we want to talk a whole lot now about The Beat Goes On, which is our community choir project, and so I'm going to turn it over to Trish.
Good morning. So I'm Tricia Winter, and I work for Carillion Clinic. I actually work in their Human Research Protections Office, the IRB, and I help with regulatory review and ethics education. But part of my job has protected research time, which is super cool. So in those hours, I am a music therapy researcher. And this is part of the work that I'm doing in collaboration with this fabulous team. So what is a community choir? Well, you probably know you've got a fabulous one right in this town, the Blacksburg Master Chorale, that's being led by one of the faculty members here at Tech. And it's a beautiful choir. They sing Handel and Bach, and they have the orchestra, and they perform at the Moss, and it's all the things. Lots of rehearsals, lots of music. That's not what this is. This is like flip that over, turn it around, look at it a different way. So our community choir has taken a really different approach to thinking about music for the community. Who is our community? Well, our community consists of older adults with cognitive impairments, dementia, Alzheimer's, neurocognitive disorders, typical regular old folk who say, I'm not a singer, I've never sung in my life, I'm never gonna sing. Well, we don't believe that's true. Children, college students are not children, but we have college students, and we also have little children who are running around shaking things and singing and doing all the things. It really feels like a community event. People come in, we hand them a piece of paper with words on it, and we say, hey, we're gonna do some rock and roll music. You probably know the tunes. They should be really familiar. And we learn the rock and roll music. And instead of having the age-old piano accompanist, we have just an age-old, my husband, guitarist who has accompanied the choir because we have a rock band that will be playing for us. So we decided to accompany the choir for rehearsals using the same sort of instrumentation that they're going to be singing with. Last night was our first performance with the band, and it was epic. It was like the coolest thing ever. So if that rehearsal was that good, the performance is gonna be out of this world. Why community choir? Because as Joe mentioned, singing is good for people. In fact, research about singing in a choir has shown that it has really positive benefits for people, especially older adults who have shown positive health benefits from participation in a choir. So that speaks to us in saying that we need to continue to provide these opportunities to people who can't continue to participate in a very structured, highly formalized kind of singing experience. So who are the singers? I already told you that. Why? I already told you that. Yeah, no, I think I said all of that. So the only thing left to do is to show you a very cool video that has some pieces of our rehearsals.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay, sorry. My name is Violet. I want to just point out that video is what our choir is always like. It's seriously all smiles, fun, and laughs, and people just show up to just have a good time. It's actually my time to have a break, and I look forward to it every Thursday. I kind of wish we had it every day at like 5 p.m., but I understand people have other priorities. Anyways, my name is Violet Zaleski. I actually got my Bachelor's of Science in Human Nutrition, Foods, and Exercise, and I minored in Adaptive Brain Behavior, and I received that in December of 2023. So I'm now alumni, and thank you. And so my goal in this lab, I'm one of the co-investigators here. I truly want to bridge the gap between older adults, especially with individuals with dementia, and college students. I want them to know that, yeah, it may be uncomfortable at first to engage with older adults, but there's so much joy and positivity that can come out of it. I want to break down the stigma that older adults can be boring and weak, but it truly is the engagement of the college students that helped build this choir, and we couldn't do it without them and just the awesome folks that are in it as well. And also with that, some of the aspects of data collection is we're doing a feelings inventory with empathy. So we're collecting the empathy of everyone in the choir, excluding the children. But we're just asking them how they feel at the beginning of choir and then at the end. So last night we actually had a caregiver who actually came, and he was like, he was looking for his empathy at the end, and he was like, I forgot to write something. And I was like, well, what do you want to write? And he was like, I had back pain at the beginning of this, but now I don't. And I was like, we will write that down. So it's truly transformative how the engagement in our choir can actually help people and how they feel, whether it's physical pain, emotional pain, or anything else. And with that, we'll collect our empathy. And then also we'll be collecting heart rate variability, and individuals who want to participate can wear a watch during our sessions, and they can wear it during our social hour while they're socializing, and then during our choir. And so we'll be talking about that, and Tanner would actually demonstrate that. But an increased heart rate variability, it's the variation between our beats. So an increased variability of your heart rate means that you're more relaxed, your beats are slower, but if you're stressed, you're gonna have a decreased heart rate variability. So it's less beats. So yeah, take it away, Tanner.
Continue next.
Hi, I'm Tian Yu from the CS department. So we thought really hard about which device to use for this project, and eventually we picked the Pine Time. It is a device that's cheap enough to fit in our budget because we need to have 40-ish device, and it takes the heart rate. Everything is communicated over Bluetooth, and I can write software that actually takes the heart rate and store the data onto the watch. So there are next slide, please. There are some limitations with that. The most glaring one is there's not a lot of storage space, so I have to think a lot about budgeting and how to store the data for each individual session, because you have over an hour of data, and you need to cram that into probably within 0.1, 0.2 megabytes, and that's a really, really tight space allowance. And it also needs to last through the entire performance, so there's a lot of design consideration over that.
Great. So next there's we have a goal that in addition to the music we're playing together, we'd like to do an improvisation at some point based on our own heart rates. So I'd like to demonstrate an example of what that might be like today. And of course, as soon as I say that, the watch stops working. So I'm wearing a watch right now, and as soon as my heart rate comes back, we'll see it on the top left. I'm dead, y'all. If it doesn't come back in a minute, I'll just fake it, and we can pretend that we're getting the data. So let's say we wanted to kind of take the data of the heart rate from the watch and just pretend there we go. It's all over the place. You can see my heart rate jumping from 130 down to 70. So we can take the data and turn it into a sound that simulates a heartbeat. That's just a bass drum that I've got that matches the beats per minute of the heartbeat. But we can also apply that to other things, like let's say we have a drum loop. If I can relax, I've had at least 2 pots of coffee. You can hear the drum beat increase and decrease in speed based on my heartbeat. Again. And if I die, then the music goes backwards. This is the over-caffeinated time travel back in time. But the bigger point of this is you could imagine there's a drummer in the band here. What if the drummer is listening to me and my heartbeat? And we start jamming together, right? We respond to each other. My heartbeat might change based on what the drummer does or what I do, and the drummer's gonna respond to what I do. So there's a nice conversation that always happens in live music when you're in the room together. And I think we're starting to just really see that with the music we're playing. Last night we had the band there with the choir for the first time, and there was just a huge amount of energy. I felt like everybody was really singing a lot stronger and focused. So yeah, there's some magic, if you're a musician, you know, when you get in a room with other musicians of playing live together. And last night I think we really found that. For the concert, we're hoping to have at least one watch stream live data and do pretty much the example I just shared for a free improvisation, in addition to the fun rock and roll songs that we're playing. Any other thing we need to add besides telling you exactly when this awesome concert's going to be?
Yeah, so mark your calendar. Like I said, the finale for ICAT Day, all right, will be our concert. And really, one of the really cool things I think too about the heart rate variability and kind of this real merging of art and science, and how science can be artistic, art can be scientific. They can go together. And this is a really lovely way too about how it can also all be very humanistic. We are trying to meet the human experience, and we are trying to help people engage in the arts, and then we're trying to figure out what's actually happening when you do. And are there ways that we can quantify how people can engage in the arts in a way that helps them have better days and impacts their actual health? Because it would be lovely if we could have prescriptions for music given out at the doctor's office. So with this information, we're hoping that we have this big approach to how we're trying to figure it out, this kind of systems approach with it. But what we're really hoping is we're able to get the information to be able to quantify why music works and how music works. And we're having a really fun time with it right now. So, and as you can see in the choir, everyone's having a really good time with it. And even though the concert's in April, we are still accepting new members. So if anybody wants to join our choir, you saw the video, it's pretty chill, it's kind of fun. But we're still accepting new members. Rehearsals are on Thursdays. Here we meet for there's also snacks. They're good snacks. So here we meet for snacks at 5:30. And we socialize, and then we just migrate into the other space where we then have rehearsal for about an hour. So you're welcome to join us and sing with us, because it's good for you too. So don't hesitate to join us. Does anyone have anything else? Thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much. What a wonderful combination of joy and transdisciplinarity all in one. I love it. What questions do we have in the room or online?
So I was just curious, connecting the good work that you're already doing with the synchrony with folks with dementia, with their caregiver. How did it work last night with them, and was there engagement and connection there? I'm just really curious about how well that went.
Absolutely. As a member of the choir, I can tell you that, and as I looked around, I definitely saw everyone was just on it last night. But I'm gonna ask Trish for her perspective, because she stands in the front and she, man, yeah.
Yeah. It was wild. I mean, we took a group that had been practicing with one guitar, brought an entire, their 4-piece will be 5-piece band in. We had never rehearsed with them. They were practicing with a recording, and we've been doing our rehearsals. And we came together, and it was automatic. It was like the band started playing, and the choir started singing, and all faces. It's interesting to be in front of a choir because all faces get this look on them that is just so impassioned, and their mouths were open more, and their eyes were like fixed on me, and I was like, oh, that's nice, right? Like, and everybody was like grooving, and the band we were all looking at each other, and you know, it was incredible. It really was. It was quite a moment to say, we have this group of people who are identifying as not musicians, most of them strongly identifying, who are now feeling really in their space as musical creators. It's incredible. Yeah.
Sam's going, sorry. Right outside my peripheral vision.
I realize this might be, before I ask it, it might be a very complex, deep question to answer, but I know that when I'm listening to music, it's mood dependent, you know, like I'm very much affected by, you know, whether it be the tempo or the emotions of a lyric or something like that. How do you all go about deciding compositions to play or sing?
For this project in particular, we really wanted it to be approachable. And so, you know, Trish was talking about the Master Chorale earlier, which is a wonderful community group that sings a lot of classical music. And for people who don't identify as musicians, that's a barrier, you know, for somebody to engage in music in that way. So all the music that we chose, and then we were also very intentional, and all the music that we chose is music about music. So, I mean, our set list is old-time rock and roll, sad songs say so much, I've got the music in me, listen to the music, and a little bit of soul. And those are the 5 songs that we'll be performing on the finale of ICAT Day. So it's all music about music, and we wanted it to have different feels, and we wanted it to be also of the times where our folks who are experiencing cognitive change, there might be music that they would automatically connect with. But absolutely, music for mood is a big thing. People do select music specifically to match a mood that they're experiencing or to change a mood that they want to get out of. So all of the music that we have is pretty upbeat. But because while it is therapeutic for everybody to be engaged in it, we also have the eye of this is going to be a performance. So it has that kind of a different feel to it to support that experience.
And I do have to put in a pitch for the profession of music therapy, right? So Joe and I are trained clinicians and therapists. This is how we eat, sleep, think, and breathe. It just becomes part of the fabric of your DNA. So sitting down and saying, what music are we going to perform? There are a lot of thoughts that go into that, including what's the overall vibe that we want to instill in people? How will it translate to a performance? What is the sophistication level of the music? Things that I thought were going to be kind of easy ended up being a lot harder, especially Elton John's sad song, Say So Much. Tricky piece of music. So I think that we kind of unpack everything and like lay it all out and say what's going to work, what's not going to work, and then repack it. And then you absolutely walk in the room and go, okay, we don't know what's about to happen, but just like any musician would, right? It's all improv after that.
And also, specifically, sad songs say so much, but like Trish was saying, the music that we've selected is not easy music. And when the band showed up the first time, because they came to listen to a rehearsal while they were practicing, and they were having all these side conversations like, this music's kind of hard. This music's a little bit harder than what we play regularly. So, but that really speaks to, again, this idea that people with dementia can't do hard things or can't learn new things, and that's just not true. I mean, we're showing it. We're demonstrating it. And yeah, it's just really interesting.
So I was glad you mentioned music therapy because that was the question I was about to ask. Have you thought about doing clinical trials to establish the desirable, like, outcome health-wise to scale it up? Like physical therapy, the doctor might actually prescribe it, right?
I mean, I don't think I think about anything else ever than just that question. Like, how do we get to the point to do clinical trials? The interest in music research is really, really heightened right now, especially in National Institutes of Health. They are specifically focusing on sound health research. There are labs across the nation and internationally that are really looking at music and the neural piece to that. I think we are so close to that opportunity to do clinical trials, and part of our approach, as Joe mentioned, is a systems approach, right? So we've looked at EEG data, and then we're going, what does that look like in translation to the world? You know, how do we get from the lab to the clinic, from the lab to, and back and forth? So we do the EEG, and then we go out and we do a choir, and then we take heart rate, and then we do something with caregivers, and then hopefully we'll go back to the EEG, or maybe there'll be an opportunity for some fMRI kind of work. So we're definitely looking into that. But yes to clinical trials, and yes, I hope that my name is on one soon. Right? But yeah.
I have a question for Tanner and Tianyu. We've talked a bit about the disciplines on the right side of the room. Can you all talk about your disciplines and how that has brought things into the work that you're doing here?
You want to start? Or?
Okay. So it was turned on, and I just turned it back off. So I'm in CS, and I study human-computer interactions.
CS as in
computer science.
Thank you. All right.
And I mostly, like, it's slightly different from what I do usually, but I was able to get the part that tracks the heart rate to work, and we just recently got the data from the past two rehearsals, and we are going to read out the data and see what we can learn from it.
Yep. And Tini was also an artist, maybe more of a visual artist historically, but what's interesting about this team is that we're all, at least 1 foot in art and 1 foot in science in some way. For me, I think tying the technology pieces together and getting back to the design of the study and how we're doing this was probably the most collaborative part. Thinking about the type of data we want to collect and how we want to use it, especially this sonification idea. We're introducing ideas of can we listen to our own heartbeats, and does that influence what happens in the room together, and what does that mean? That might be a little down the road, but I think these are the questions that we're interested in. Maybe you can feel or think about how you're feeling in a different way if you hear your own heartbeat in real time, because it's not something you normally hear. So thinking about sort of creative questions, maybe where we go next as the beat goes on, if you will. Yes, nailed it.
I love it. We are at time this morning. I hope that you all will hang around for a bit. Thank you all. Let's give you a round of applause. And I hope you all will continue the conversations in the room, and please enjoy more donuts and coffee, and have a great weekend. We'll see you again, same time, same place, next week. More donuts. See you then.